And we're from I Am Every Girl.
And this is Nina Lee,
who's in the Brentano String Quartet.
Hello, everybody.
I know you went to Juilliard, but did you go into any other music schools?
Yes, I did. I left home when I was 16 to go to a music school in Philadelphia called the Curtis Institute of Music. And so I was on my own from 16 to 19, and I finished out high school there. And then I realized, being a young person that really liked lots of different things, I took a break from my music and I thought I wanted to be a biologist. So then I took a stab at studying biology in Boston. And then I realized how much I missed my music. So then I took a year off, and then I finished out my undergrad and my graduate studies at the Juilliard School in New York.
And how did you come across the cello?
I came across the cello in a very interesting way. I am a product of the public school system. So I was a fourth grader in public school, and we had a music program, and there were 4 women that came in and played a string quartet version of the Oscar Mayer Baloney song. Do you know it? It goes a little bit like this. I'll show you. Anyways, that when I heard that and the melody was in the cello, I was completely mesmerized, and I said, I have to learn how to play that. And so that's how I started cello, and now I'm a cellist, a professional musician.
How often do you practice?
Well, my group often practices when we're in New York around 3 hours a day. And then on top of that, I tried to practice another couple hours on my own. But when I was in school at conservatory, I probably practiced around 5 hours a day, 4 or 5 hours a day. I've actually named this cello, and his name is Godfrey. And, just like a person, if I neglect Godfrey for more than like a week or two, he gets a little angry at me. And, it's sort of hard to believe that over 300 years, the only thing that keeps us together is a little glue.
What is part of your inspiration to keep playing the cello every day? What's your inspiration?
It is a lot of work. I mean, with musicians or anybody in the arts, it's a funny existence, because I know that you sing and that you play the piano, but when you do your practicing is not always so much fun, because you're trying to do things that you can't do, and you're challenging yourself, and you're always asking yourself, what do I need to improve on? And so it can get me down, because you're always constantly criticizing yourself. For me, what inspires me is the music that I get to play.
Did it take you a long time to really not master, but to love the cello?
You know what? Loving the cello came pretty immediately. And I don't even consider myself a master today, but I do work really hard at it. And just like anything, if you just dedicate yourself to doing it every day and really being true to the work and really staying curious and really trying to figure out how you can get to that next level. I think that's a great sort of recipe for being better at whatever you're trying to do.
Do you ever regret like paying a lot for the cello, like getting an extra plane ticket or stuff like that?
Well, it's true, you know, Sana, they don't tell you when you first begin the cello that if you have a certain aptitude for it and you love it, that it's sort of chained to you for life. And whenever I travel, I do have to purchase an extra ticket every time. And it's a big instrument to lug around. But, you know, I still think it's a small price to pay for doing what I love. And this instrument, while I don't own it, it's been generously loaned to me by a family that actually bought all the instruments in my string quartet for us to go to use. We feel really lucky that we get to do what we get to do and teach and create. And I think actually it's, even if you don't get paid to create something, everybody should do it. Because I'm learning as I'm getting older that I'm a better person if I'm either making something or being very close to someone making something or creating something. It sort of keeps me alive and connected.
How did you come to find the Brentano Quartet?
Well, my quartet has been in existence since 1992, but I joined the quartet in 1999. First knew the first violinist of the quartet, Mark Steinberg, from a music festival that we did. And we had such a grand time playing together that when the original cellist, decided to leave, Mark thought of asking me to come play with them to see how it would go.
So, do you prefer to play by yourself or with your quartet?
I 110% much prefer playing with other people than by myself. It's because when you do what I get to do, traveling the world and playing with others and communicating with others, even though we don't use words, it's a much less lonely life if you can share it with somebody.
Were you rowdy as a kid growing up?
I was indeed a rowdy child. I had my fair share of wanting to rip my hair out and make life very tough for those around me as far as my music is concerned. And it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do, partly because I love to do so many different things. And it seemed to me very unfair. It seemed that life was really unfair, that I had to make a decision so young. Because when you're in the arts, you have to sort of be really focused from a younger age. And I really wanted to make the decision when I wanted to make the decision and not have anybody else make that decision for me, which maybe could have resulted in some rowdy behavior. But you know what? I had to learn some things the hard way, and I wouldn't have changed it at all for anything, because I'm where I am today and I'm doing exactly what I had hoped I would be doing. And I got to meet you today, so.
Did you miss any schoolwork or like education because you wanted to practice the cello or focus on the cello?
Well, when I moved away from home, to give you an idea, because I left home so early and then went to a different school and found out that wasn't the best school for me, I was in 3 different high schools for my 4 years of high school. So every time somebody moves and you're the new person, it can be a little difficult. And did I miss things? Yes, because when you're splitting your time from I had a bit of an unusual schedule. So even though I was in music school in Philadelphia, that was mainly a college, university age people. And I was there, but I was also having to do high school. So I didn't really get to mix and make real friendships as easily as the others because I was always in a different school doing other things. So I had to miss those kinds of things. But, you know, for me, I think looking back, the beautiful friendships that I have from those times and that have lasted to today, that they stand the test of time. And even though I have to travel a lot and I don't get to see my friends as often as I'd like, that they're the kind of people and the spirits that I like to be around, that it doesn't matter how much time has passed, that we always just pick up from where we left off. And I'm sure that's what you'll find when you grow up as well.
Do you have a place in the world that you like to play at?
There's a hall in London, England called the Wigmore Hall, and it is my most favorite place to play. It's one of those places where when you're on stage, you feel like the sounds that you're making on stage is exactly the sound that the people in the audience are listening to, that they can hear exactly what you're doing. Because oftentimes if you're on a big stage, you have no idea if it sounds the same way out there than right where you're making it. This place is so fantastic. I don't know how they built it, but it makes me feel like the space inspires me to play the best that I can.
What was the weirdest place that you ever played cello?
That is a great question. I have played in a beer factory in Mexico where they told everybody that the concert was at 4 because nobody comes on time when the concert actually was 6 o'clock. So that was amazing. We've played in this unbelievable outdoor amphitheater in Greece called Epidavros, which holds, I think, 12,000 people.
Wow.
And there's a circle, I don't know how this is, like a marble circle right in the middle. And if you walk up to the furthest seat out there and you stand on that marble circle and you whisper something to your friend, the other person can hear it. It was amazing. So going to Greece, that was a pretty spectacular place. And but really, you know what, I like, my most favorite places aren't the grand concert halls. They're the smaller places because part of what makes what I do so special is almost feeling like you would be eavesdropping on a conversation. Because when you play string quartets, a lot of conversations happen and split off and switch between people. And the kind of music that I play is called chamber music, which is music that was really meant to be performed in a chamber. And so that even though the listeners are only listening, they're actually participating as well as much as the performers are performing. So,
are there any certain women musicians or just women in general that inspire you to keep working?
Oh, well, as a cellist, Jacqueline Dupre, who's no longer living, but she was an amazing musician, a cellist, and a soloist mainly. She was amazing. And Clara Schumann, just reading about how she played and the accounts of how beautiful her music making was pretty inspiring. Marin Alsop, who is a conductor. More and more women composers are being recognized. Often, back in the day, string quartets were mainly men. And what they would do was their wives would have their babies and they would travel for months. And it would be okay because that would be okay for them. And women, as soon as they had children, were expected to sort of quit and stay home. Well, that has changed. There's one other woman in my quartet. Her name is Serena Cannon. And she really is one of the first people that I know that really had this can-do attitude that I can have it all. And there are sacrifices to be made, but just because she was going to follow her dream of having a family, as well as follow her dream of being a musician, and being in a group that mostly concertizes and not sort of has a job where they stay in one place, because we travel quite a bit. We travel about a third of the year. That she just resolved, said, this is possible, I can do it. I know it will be there'll be sacrifices, but I'm willing to make them. And she's done it beautifully. And she has 2 boys that love her and understand that she needs to do what she needs to do. And I think I'm also aware, I have a daughter, she's 10, and I'm very aware that it's important for me to show her that she needs to find what she loves and a purpose. And that's really important. I think it's really important to do something that you love, but to have that thing that you love give you a purpose, or feel like what you do give others purpose as well. And sort of me continuing and teaching and traveling and trying to expose others to the joys of what I do gives me great purpose, and that I hope she and the 2 of you find the same kind of opportunities, because as much as I give, the kind of work that I do, the people that I meet, they give back to me much more than I give to them.
I'd like to say thank you to Nina.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to our audience for listening, and
We'll see you next time.